Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard. Come on in. Been a while, not that long, but it's been a little while since I've been on. Let me make sure I got everything doing the right thing here. So when you sign on, you know the drill. Make sure you say who you are and where you're signing in from. I've got a few things I want to talk about this evening, and we'll see how it goes. I don't want to keep you that long. We can get into these long discussions and end up being on here for a while. And I want to be mindful of everyone's time and all that. So I want to start out by saying good evening to everyone. Thank you for joining me on the live broadcast. It's been I don't know if it's been quite a month since I did a live broadcast, but a few things have happened since then, not just um, around the world, but with me. I had a touch of food poisoning. I have had food poisoning before, so I know it when it more than once. So I know it when it hits, and uh, I have been worse than what I was the last uh, few days, and I'm better, thank God. But it was not fun, let me tell you. Anyway, so I think I'm pretty much over that now. And the weird thing about that is I was in the middle of trying to pressure can some beef, and I went to bed and I was sick. I knew I was sick, and I had this meat in the refrigerator that I wanted to get done, and um, I was out of it. I was so sick in my gut till I couldn't sleep. My stomach was tore up. It was cramping. Everything that goes with food poisoning is what was happening to me. And I got to day two of it and thought, I got to get this meat done. So I wasn't feeling 100%, but I could tell that, the poison was leaving my system. And uh, so by the time I got finished pressure canning my beef, that I did not want to go bad, because if you've been in the store lately, you know how expensive meat can be. And I'm a carnivore. I like meat. I'm not vegan. I ain't keto. I ain't none of that. I eat meat. So I wanted to get it done because where'd that fly come from? Anyway, I wanted to get it done because I did not want it to go bad. So I was um, halfway better, not as well as I should have been, but I had to get it done. So I was in there struggling in my kitchen all day trying to get that finished, and I finally got it finished. And thank God that's over with, and the sickness passed and all that. So I'm doing okay. So, hi, Richella. Thanks for stopping by. Oh, thank you. She says your hair is beautiful. Thank you very much. Thanks. I appreciate that. So, yeah, speaking of hair, that's one of the things that I forgot to put in this title. Well, if you guys been with me for a while, you know that I've gotten very simple when it comes to hair care. So I keep my hair in just a couple of styles, just because number one, I've gotten very busy. Number two, I feel like I'm getting very old. So I ain't nobody got time for that. I don't have time. I don't have the energy to put into hair care that I had when I first started my journey. Like, oh, gosh, I guess I started in 2014. I just stopped processing my hair and all that. And so, yeah, so 8 years, 7, 8 years now, I've been natural, and I just stopped putting chemicals and stuff in my hair way back then. And I used to spend a lot of time on it, twisting it and trying out all different kinds of hairstyles and all that. And I've just gotten very, very busy, involved in a lot of things. Some are up front, some are behind the scenes, and a lot of stuff going on here at the house and out at the RV and all that. So I ain't nobody got time. I ain't got time. Okay. Now, so one of the things that I did do just recently, and I had mentioned this before, was to make sure that you have the things that you need. So tonight, I wanted to go over some things that people may not be thinking about. There's a lot of talk about food, which you got to have that, okay? Food and water, um, protection, whatever that means to you. You want to hire private security or whatever you want to do for protection. Do that. Um, Protecting your assets. There's a lot to say about that. Um, but one of the things that I wanted to talk about that I was thinking about the other day was car parts. Now, what we're hearing is that it's hard to find car parts. So my husband and I were talking, and I said, we need to, there's things that we know we're going to need. We're not in the market for a car, and we're definitely not in the market for a new car because I don't care what kind of warranty they give you. If the car breaks down, they're going to have a hard time getting parts. So, what we're thinking of doing and what we have already started to do was to get some of the things that you know you're going to need for your car. Get it now while it's still on the shelf, or at least try to. Now, I know some people may not have thought of this, but one of the things we're going to do is we're going to take our car in and have the radiator flushed, get that done. Chris knows how to change the brakes. So we're going to get brakes and, set them aside. We're going to get tires, set them aside. We got air filter. We got, yeah, an extra air filter, an extra oil filter, extra windshield wiper blades, things like this that could go away or be very, very hard to find or ridiculously expensive because everything's gone up in price by, 17%, 16%, 10%, whatever. So I was thinking, you know what? We need to get this stuff while we can still kind of afford to get it. And even if you just had your car serviced, you should probably still get that stuff because it's going to need to be serviced again in the future. You already know that. Hi, Amber. And you're going to need it. You're going to need an air filter. We also got an extra cabin filter, air cabin filter. Um, and I can't think of what else. We don't need tires yet, but we're going to get tires because we're going to need tires, right? So all this kind of stuff, where there's a lot of emphasis on food and water and all that. Yes, you do need that, but you also need transportation. And so, unless you're living in a city where there is a lot of public transportation, you need to maintain your vehicle. Make sure you have what you need for your vehicle. Okay. I haven't heard anybody talk about that. And I listen to a lot of channels, and a lot of channels listen to me. I have over 7,000 viewers. So, which is not a big channel, but still, I still haven't heard anyone talk about getting what you need for your vehicle, your car. Um, get extra gas before the prices get to be ridiculous. They're talking about a gallon being as high as $13 per gallon. Now, in some places in Canada, it's already $10 a gallon. Well, they actually do liters, but when you do the math, it comes out to about $10 a gallon. So, um, I was talking earlier to someone and saying, what do you say to people that feel like they're just working to put gas in their car? They're literally working for free. By the time they get paid their low wage job, and they have to pay $6 a gallon or $5 a gallon for gas just to go to work a minimum wage job. See, that whole thing of starting everything at $15 an hour doesn't mean nothing when everything's gone up 30%. You see what I'm saying? You're still at minimum wage. It's not keeping up. The dollar is shrinking, the value of the dollar is shrinking, and people are hurting because of what is going on. And what is going on is intentional. It's intentional. They've already told you what they were going to do. And some lame skull knuckle brain folks voted for this craziness. But anyhow, they already told you what they want to do. They don't want you to own anything. They don't think you should own anything, and so they're trying to make it hard for people who own things to not to have them, and that includes your vehicle or your home or whatever else. And some people are being priced right out of their homes. I feel sorry for people who may have an adjustable mortgage rate. Oh my word. Yeah. Anyway, that's never a good idea. I don't care what the circumstance is. You should always get a fixed rate. But right now, the challenge now with even having a home or trying to get a home built is it's supplies. There are still ships and things that are sitting out in the ocean waiting to be docked that have been literally sitting there since last year. Um, if you work with wood or anything like that, you better get screws and nails while you can get screws and nails, because I'm telling you, there's some unusual things going on. Anyway, um, you won't be able to find them after a while. Uh, they're letting the ships dock in dribs and drabs, and then you have the issue of people not wanting to work. They've been encouraged to stay home. I don't know why, because it's not like they're passing out stimulus checks. And how far are the stimulus checks going to go if they keep, crashing the dollar like they're doing, and everything's going up in price by 30% or 60% or 20% or whatever? Amber said, just this week, I walked through 5 homes this week, all disgusting and overpriced by 2 times. Yes. And I've been hearing about that in a lot of places, especially in Arizona has a horrible housing crisis going on right now. There are homes that are in the middle of being built that they're having a hard time finishing building because they can't get the finishings, you know? And I have a family member that's in that position right now that's been in a hotel for almost 3 months. Um, her and her family have been in this hotel or moving around from one hotel to another because not all of them do extended stay. So it's crazy. I mean, wow. Now, why a person would want to have a home built right now is just beyond me. I don't know. However, I've owned my home for many, many years now. I don't owe nobody no money. I don't owe nobody nothing. I don't have no debt. Haven't had any for years. So I'm in a good position, comparatively speaking, to people who do, may have school loans, and things like that are going on, that uh, they voted for having all their school loans paid off. And like, yeah, that didn't happen. How'd that work out for you? But anyway, when you've been around as long as I've been around, which has been uh, sometimes for half of these people's careers that are in politics, they're liars, right? You've been watching them live for decades. So when they get up and they promise all kinds of stuff like that, oh, you're not going to have to own anything. We're going to take care of everything. That sounds good on the surface if you're a lazy individual and don't want to work or do anything like that. But then when you find out that they've been lying to you just to get your vote, what you going to do now? Uh-huh. See, so you got these primaries coming up. So remember that. Remember that when they try to slide somebody else in there that talk just like the last buffoon that 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 took office in your area or in your county or whatever, just remember where you are right now as a result of policies that somebody thought was a good idea to just ruin your life. I just want to tell you. Now, like I said, God has blessed me. I'm in a better position than most people because a long time ago, I just had a feeling that things were going to go south not too long from then. And I made it my aim to pay my house off early, which I did. I paid my property off 13 years early because I just hustled and got it done. Every spare dollar I could throw toward the principal of the mortgage, I put it on there and got rid of that debt. So I've been debt free for years, and I thank God for that because I'm in a position now where I can help other people if I feel I need to do that. Now, there's some people I would never help because they ain't trying to do nothing for themselves. They too busy getting their hair done and getting their nails done and acting like, you know, uh, I don't know, acting like they don't need to eat unless they're gonna chew on their nails. I don't know, but there's some people I'm just not gonna do anything to try to help because they're either ignorant or stupid or both. And when they come out of their stupor and act like they got some sense and that they need to be a responsible adult, then I'll consider if need be. Anyway, so the other thing that I wanted to talk about was I mentioned about medicines a few videos back, and I told you guys how I had been learning how to make my own stuff because I wanted to try to get away from the pharmaceuticals. Now, that's not going as quickly as I had hoped. It's a real adjustment for the body, and I had to back off of some things and try to find another way around it. But I am still making my own meds and stuff, and I still have two bottles that I need to express. I did a video about it. I found some Lactuca verosa and some Lactuca cereola, which are pain relievers. And I found those and I started processing those. So they've been kind of sitting in the jar curing. And I'll press those out. And really, it literally grows on the side of the road. I mean, you just have to know it when you see it, know how to identify it. I have an app on my phone called Picture This. And if I pull up that app and I take a picture of the plant that I want to know what is it? Is it poisonous? Does it have medicinal value or anything like that? I just take a picture of it and it pulls it up and it tells me the history of the plant, what it can be used for. If it's poisonous, don't touch it, whatever. And so I have used that a few times. I've been riding down the street and saw something. I was like, well, what is that? I've never seen that before. And I'll take the picture of it, pull up the app, take the picture of it, and it'll tell me what it is. So it comes in very handy. It's very good. I had a lady in a forum that I'm in. She had a picture. She posted a picture of a red mushroom. And every time I saw red mushrooms, especially in the cartoons, they were poisonous, right? I didn't know what it was. I took a picture of her picture and come to find out it was in a family of mushrooms called wax gills. And it's poisonous. And so I was able to write her and say, I use this particular app and it says it's poisonous. Then I Googled it and it kind of said the same thing, but it showed that it's in a family of mushrooms. And so, anyhow, you have to do your homework. Said all that to say, she was wanting to know was it edible because she used it for medicine or whatever. No, you can't. Not that particular one. So there's things that you can do to help prepare yourself for the things that you're going to need. Not everybody's need is the same. Not everybody's family situation is the same. We have this, excuse me, we have this issue going on concerning baby formula. And the thing is, there is no shortage of formula. What's happening is that the formula is being rerouted somewhere else. Okay. Now let that hit you. Your government must really hate you if they're willing to starve your child. All right. And you voted for that. Okay. I'm just saying. So there's no shortage. It's just being routed to the border. Um, I was watching an interview the other day of a lady in Mexico, um, and she said this it's a U.S. issue. She says we don't have any shortages here. Well, it's not. Uh, Imagine that. yeah, there's not a, it's not a shortage per se. It's not that there's a lack of it. Is that they're not putting it on our shelves for our children. They're sending it somewhere else. And so if you haven't figured it out yet that this government will let you starve before they help you, well, keep living. I guess the only thing I can tell you is keep living, because there are some people who literally have their heads stuck in the sand. They're doing this la 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 la. You know, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to. It's just too much for their little heart. God bless their little hearts. You know, they just can't handle the truth, and so they will tell you that nothing's wrong. Everything's fine. Government's going to take care of everything. I think that's a no. So you better learn how to care for yourself. And so it's not too late to learn some of these things. It's not too late to learn how to preserve your food. There's many ways to preserve food. There are things that our ancestors did before there was refrigeration. It didn't kill them. Well, if they didn't do it right, it did kill them. But there's things you can do to preserve food. Um, whether it's meat or vegetables or fruit or whatever, there's always a preservation method. It could be drying it, it could be preserving it in salt, it could be preserving it in lard, it can be, there's all different types of ways to preserve food. It just depends on what it is. And I would highly recommend that you get books. Make sure that you guys are signing in and saying where you're signaling from, and make sure to give this broadcast a thumbs up. So, um, what was I saying? Anyway, let me just move on. So when it comes to your food, your medicines, and things like that, oh, this is what I was going to say. You need to get books. You need to get books, because this is a very systematic march toward turning the country into a third world experiment. Let's put it like that. There are people that really feel like the United States has been on the top of the heap for too long, that we have enjoyed too much pleasure. Now, they ain't talking about themselves now with their mansions and their hired security. You're talking about you. You know, with your McDonald's job or you're working for the hospital, you've enjoyed too much pleasure. And so they feel like you just need to be knocked down a peg or two so that they can have more, because they deserve it and you don't. So, um, what they would like for you to do, well, now, why is that saying that? Oh, so what they would like for you to do is to, or what they would like to happen is for your mind to be trained to live in squalor. Um, they feel that our country, our people are very wasteful, and we have been in a lot of ways. Now they don't care how much waste they doing, you know. But it's always other people. It's never them. Okay, so they don't want you to have anything because they feel like you have too much already. All you need is the basics. We'll take it from here. That's their mindset. And if you don't agree, they don't have a problem letting your child starve. So, I mean, clearly, I was listening to a gentleman from Norway, and he was saying the same thing. You know, it's the same thing that's going on in his country, and he's very much an outdoorsman. He's Viking, and he's very much an outdoor person. Very much in touch with nature, loves to be in the woods, and built his own cabin and did all this stuff, makes his own knives and swords, and knows how to work with them and make cups and bowls and all this out of wood. He knows how to do all this. He taught himself. This is an educated man. He didn't go to school for this. He taught himself how to do all this stuff. He went to school for other stuff. Um, and he's saying the same thing and saying the same thing in his country. So this is not what we're going through is not something that's unique to the United States, is what I'm trying to say. It's something that's going on all around the world. Now, you may have heard some rumblings back in January where there were talks about turning our medical sovereignty over to an unelected body of bureaucrats from all different nations who wants to decide uh, what's best for you in regard to your health, whether you agree to it or not. And I mean, there are people that really want to do that. They don't care. They don't care what you think. They don't care what your medical opinion is. They don't care what relationship you think you have with your doctor. They want the right to tell you whether you, number one, can get medical attention, number two, what the quality of that medical attention should be, and number three, punish you if you disagree with them. Did you hear me? Okay. So that was proposed in January. The only reason it did not go through, it wasn't ratified, is because there were a lot of countries uh, in the continent of Africa who said, you're not taking our medical sovereignty. See, they have already been experimented on with syphilis and smallpox and all kinds of diseases where the powers that be behind the scenes, it's like the Wizard of Oz, the little man behind the curtain, decided he wanted to see how this drug would act under these circumstances and how that drug would act under certain circumstances. So they literally targeted the continent of Africa and tried these things out, unbeknownst to a lot of the people that lived in these different countries. And you ended up with a whole generation, or a lot of a generation of the females ended up being systematically sterilized. They didn't know they were being sterilized. They were being told they were being vaccinated. Okay? They were told they were being vaccinated. And they found out years later that they were, in fact, sterilized. So don't get mad at people if they didn't jump on your bandwagon because you wanted to run out there and, you know, possibly get sterilized or whatever it is they told you was happening. Yeah, you have no guarantee that that's exactly what happened, right? So now that we know that the crazy people are running the asylum, it's just some things you just shouldn't do. Hi, Linda. So I'm just saying, folks, use your brain. Anyway, so we talked about getting your extra supplies for your hair a long while ago. We talked about that, and I just replenished that here recently for myself. And also things for your car. Make sure that you have extra for your car: windshield wiper blades, oil filters, air filters, cabin air filters, tires, things like that. If when it comes to your food preservation, if you look through these playlists, the videos, you'll see that I did some videos on food preservation, like how to preserve your flour, how to preserve your coffee for long term. And when I say long term, it depends on what it is. But some things will last for 5 years, some things will last for 25 years. It just depends on how you preserve them. So the next thing that I want to talk about is, oh, I stopped at refrigeration. Okay. Oh, so let me tell you, here's something that I had thought. There's so many things, as I'm going along, it's something else that comes up that I hadn't thought of. Now, I don't think anybody, excuse me, can prepare for every possible scenario. The only thing you can do is try to prepare as best you can for what you think may happen in your life, right? Now, here we are. We're having this unusual weather. I'm going to get to the refrigeration. Thank you. Ronchella, for reminding me because I have so much going on through my head. Listen, you guys, if I miss something, put it in the chat and I'll read it and say, oh, yeah, about that. Okay, so refrigeration. I just bought a battery pack because I thought to myself, everything here is electric. Like I don't have a gas stove. My stove is electric. And we have power outages, but I have been blessed to not be without power in the 30 something years I've lived here. If I was without power, it didn't last longer than an hour. I don't if it did, I must have been asleep and it came back, went out and came back on before I woke up. That's a possibility, or either it was a power surge because I do remember the days of the alarm clocks and stuff, the digital alarm clock sitting on the nightstand, and I could wake up in the morning and it's flashing, and that's the only way I knew that I had lost power somewhere in the night. But I don't know how long it was out, and I never got up, and my food was ruined or my freezer was defrosted, or it's just never happened to me. Strangely enough, it has happened to people around me. It has never happened to me. Doesn't mean that it can't, right? So I was thinking the other day, I need some kind of a battery pack. Now, there was a time where there was this really big push, and you guys might remember this, for people to get generators. Oh, you need a backup generator, you need a generator. Those people now that spent all that money to get those generators are probably thinking, wow, if gas reaches $10 a gallon and I have to run my generator for, 12 hours, 10 hours, 8 hours, and I have to keep putting gas in it, yeah, you're going to go bankrupt real quick. So I thought to myself, hmm, I know what'll happen if my freezer goes out, because I had that happen 2 years ago at the beginning of all the craziness, right? My freezer went out, and I'm telling you guys, there wasn't a freezer nowhere to be found. I had never seen anything like that. I mean, nowhere. There weren't any freezers. And I think what happened was because everything was shut down, the farmers were being told they couldn't do anything with their meat or anything because everything was shut down. Nobody was working the dairy farms, nobody was working the slaughterhouses, everybody was inside their homes. And I think these farmers were like, I'm not going to lose all my meat, and they bought up all the freezers and put their meat in them. So the rest of us folks couldn't find a freezer. Well, fortunately for me, I had taught myself how to pressure can my food. So my freezer did good. Even though it had gone out, it kept everything at least cold for about 4 days. And what I did was I worked my way through. Um, the stuff that was on top was very, very cold, but it wasn't frozen. So I took that out and I pressure canned it the next day. And then that, when I got finished that, I took the rest of the stuff out that was frozen, put it in the refrigerator until the next day, and then I pressure canned that. It took me 4 days and a half, from about 8 in the morning to about 8 at night, pressure canning food nonstop until I got it all done. I did not lose 1 ounce of food. Why? Because I had taken the time to teach myself how to do that. Now, while we still have internet, I'm telling you, you better get on Amazon or go to some other bookstore, Hastings, whatever it's called in your area, and get some books on this stuff. Get first aid books, get canning books, get beginner's guide to whatever it is you want to know how to do. Get books, because if your electricity goes out and you're in a rolling blackout or whatever, and you don't have electricity for 2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 months, what are you going to do? Right? You're gonna starve. That's what you're going to do. You better know how to preserve your food where it's shelf stable. You don't have to have the refrigeration because it's shelf stable. You can still eat. Now, so why did I say that about refrigeration? Because it occurred to me that my freezer will keep my food, I know, for 4 or 5 days because it happened before. But If my refrigerator, if I had lost power, see, I didn't lose power. I just that my freezer went out. But if I had lost power, my freezer would have kept my food for 4 days, but everything that was in my refrigerator would have spoiled. It would have spoiled, right? It was already cooked or whatever. It would have spoiled. My milk would have spoiled. Everything would have spoiled. So I thought I better get a battery pack, some type of a battery pack, and for the sole purpose of powering my refrigerator. I'll check to see if I can get one that's big enough for me to be able to power my freezer if I have to. But I'm not so much concerned about the freezer because I know I have a backup for that backup. But I did not have a backup for the refrigerator. So I got the battery pack. And so it came today and it's plugged in to the refrigerator and we're going to see. We're going to see. We plugged the fan into it and it went up to 800 whatever you calls it, and then it dropped back down to 15. And right now the refrigerator is not running. I mean, it's plugged in and it shows where it's plugged in, but it doesn't run constantly. It comes on, and when it gets reaches that temperature that it needs to be at, then it goes back off and stays off till it's time to reach that temperature. So anyway, so we'll see how that works. Plugged in the freezer, and it showed that it was plugged in. So we'll see. We'll see, because it wasn't cheap. Now I realize that everybody can't do that, but this is why I'm saying that you need to have a backup for your backups, right? So I also thought to myself, okay, so my stove is electric. If my power goes out, how am I going to pressure can my food, right? Or if my stove went out, how am I going to pressure can my food? I don't have a cooking apparatus. Now, can I still cook? Yes, I have a camping stove. I can use that to cook. Can I pressure can on it? No, no, I can't. The pot would get too heavy, especially with the jars in it, and the weight of the water would probably crush or damage the elements on a regular camping stove that's made out of thin aluminum. It won't take the pressure and it will not be able to take the heat. So I thought I need a backup for that backup. So what did I do? I went online and I thought, what do people do when they're out camping, And I've seen these other people that have been pressure canning food out in their garage or out on their back deck, and they have this other thing that's not like a little camping stove. It is used when they go camping, but it's literally like an outdoor stove that's made with metal frame. It's got strong legs on it, and you can get it with one burner, two burners, or three burners. I got it with two burners because if my stove goes out here, um, I mean, if there's a total power failure and I need to rescue my food, I can pressure can it outside on this thing that runs by propane. So you understand what I'm saying about a backup for the backup? Now I understand that not everybody can do this, but like I said, I worked hard for a long time to get out of debt. So any money that I'm spending now is money that I don't owe to anybody else. I'm not robbing Peter to pay Paul. I'm using what I have to secure my family as best I can with what I have. So there you go. So that's a backup for the backup. I think I answered about the refrigeration, and I answered you guys about car parts and stuff like that. So anybody have any questions? Because I can talk. Let's see. There's been a lot of incidences where people are passing away from heart complications out of nowhere. It ain't out of nowhere. You know why that's happening. This was the concern that the frontline doctors had, and they were canceled and they were silenced and they were ridiculed and all this. And these were doctors who had all doctors take an oath to do no harm, but these are doctors that took their oath seriously and realized that there had not been enough research done on this medicine that they were trying to push on everybody, just like they did in Africa so many years ago with all these other experimental drugs and stuff. And people were scared to death of the boogeyman. So rather than using their common sense, just like they would if they went into a doctor's office And the doctor said, well, I want to try this, this, let's say it was a steroid. I want to try this steroid on you. And you have read about steroids and decided that's not an option for you, right? They weren't giving you this choice 2 years ago. They were just saying, you have to do this, you have to do this, or you're not going to be able to work. You have to do this, or you're not going to be able to ride on a plane. You have to do this, or you're not be able to get on public transportation, or you have to do this, or you can't eat in that restaurant, or you can't go to the theater. You were not really given a choice unless you took the choice and said, well, I guess I just won't. Like some of us did. Yeah, that's a hard no for me. Okay. When you come back with a lot more data than I got to, then we'll talk about it. But if that's all you can tell me about this and you have no data, nowhere, I'm not your guinea pig. Okay. So come talk to me in 10 years after you have accumulated some data. So for all of you who did do it, thank you for being part of the experiment. We'll sit back and see what happens to you guys. And the rest of us will decide whether we will or whether we won't. But just like Amber was saying on here, there's a whole lot of perfectly healthy people suddenly dropping dead from heart failure. Perfectly healthy. No heart problem, no history of heart problems. Nope. And what these frontline doctors were saying was that the incidences that were going to be start killing these people was going to be so far removed from when they actually consented to that till they're not going to make the connection. They're not going to say, I didn't have any problems. I started having problems 6 months after, or I started having problems a year after. I never had these problems before. They're not going to associate the two. And and that's a shame because they think they're safe and they're not safe unless they got a saline shot, right? Not everybody had something in their vial that was put into their arm. Some people it was just saline because after all, it was one big human experiment, right? So some people it was just saline and other people it was poison. And they're going to find out. um, yeah, they're going to find out that they were part of an experiment, which would not have been so bad if they had been asked to participate in an experiment. But they weren't asked. They were told that unless they did it, they would lose their job. They were told that unless they did it, then their child couldn't go to school or whatever all else. If it's such a great thing, why do you have to threaten people to do it? I mean, yeah, come on, folks. Just think about that. Yeah, so no, they're not going to tell the truth. They're not going to tell the truth. So they will lie. They will look you in the face and lie, and then tell you you better believe them, or something's wrong with you. So anyway, uh, now, so the other thing that I wanted to talk about was I talked about outdoor cooking in the event that you lose your electricity and getting books. You need the books. Okay, you need the books. Get books on medicinal herbs and things like that, and get the herbs. Okay, read about it. Get them while you can get them. I tried to get something called mullein, which I use for this weird whatever this is going on in my chest. Um, and one company that I always got it from, just they don't have it anymore. I was like, wow, I better try somebody else. And not only should I try someone else, but I better try to get enough supply for a year or two if I can. Well, I wasn't able to do that either, but I was able to get a little bit. So I got some. I'm going to make some medicine out of it. If I make it into a tincture, it will last me a very long time. So I'm doing that. Um, so I just wanted to encourage you guys to make sure that you have backups for your backups, because you're going to need them. Now, the other thing that I'm going to talk to you about was neighbors and family members. What are you going to do? What are you going to do with people that haven't done a thing? And I mean, nothing. to make their situation better. You know, I don't understand people. I just don't understand. I'm sitting here thinking, no, I still don't get it. I don't understand people who think that it's okay for them not to do anything because somebody will take care of them. I just don't. Now I don't know if that has something to do with the way people are raised. They just trifling. I don't know, or they're taking your kindness for weakness, or they're taking advantage of you, or if you're so codependent till you'll rescue anybody anytime for any reason. I don't know. Uh, if you have that sucker sticker on your forehead, they'll be coming to your house empty handed, looking to clean you out because you're a sucker. And you don't know how to say no and to have healthy boundaries. You should learn that. Get some books on that. If the internet goes out, you're still going to have to know how to have some boundaries. So, um, yes, Amber said they're still pushing the shot. Yeah, they are. They're still pushing it. I'm still saying no. So anyway, uh, I'll see how many people drop dead from this thing and all these horrific diseases and stuff that are suddenly occurring that were nowhere on the horizon before all this happened. I think sometimes these governments around the world are counting on people to be too lazy or ignorant or blind or stupid or all of the above to remember what life was like 4 years ago or to remember different experimental things that took place in the past during World War II, um, that was done to people in the name of science. Follow the science, they say. It's for your safety, they said, as they led them to the gas chambers. And so, if you don't know history, then you don't have anything to compare to what is happening right now. And if you don't value life, then you really don't really care about what's happening right now with baby formula or anything else. Now, I was seeing a broadcast not too long ago where they were talking about all of a sudden the shelves in Sam's and Costco and all that are overflowing, and the aisles are packed with stock that's not being put on the shelves. It's just you can't even get a cart down the aisle because there's so many boxes and so much stuff. Where did that stuff come from? Well, I'll tell you, in case you were wondering. It came off of those container ships and things that were sitting out in the Pacific for over a year. So I just want to caution you that when you go into the stores and you see this stuff sitting on the shelves, you need to look at the dates. Okay. Don't just buy stuff, and especially if they got it marked down. You better be careful about what you are buying. Look at the dates on that stuff and consider. I had a package that came to me the other day that had clearly been sitting somewhere for a long time. The cardboard on the box was soft. Now and these were metal items that were in this box, and so I opened up the box. The metal was bent and all this weird stuff, and the box didn't even take a whole lot to open it because the cardboard appeared to have been exposed to water for a while. And I was like, wow, look at this. And this box, the one that I had to open, was inside another box. And both boxes were in that condition, which made me think that it had been sitting at sea for a while. Okay. So I'm saying just because the shelves look good, look full, maybe doesn't mean that the stuff is wholesome. You don't know how long it was sitting on the Pacific or on the Atlantic or wherever it came from, especially if it was being shipped in from another country. This stuff was shipped in from Brazil, and it sat for a while. I could tell. So, am I going to use it? It appears to be okay, with the exception of some dents here and there. I'm a little bit squeamish about that. I'm considering sending it back to Brazil. They can do something else with it. But watch things like that because um, if you have boats and things that where they some of the stuff fell off into the water, they retrieved it, put it back up on the tankers and stuff like that. You don't know what happened out there at sea. I mean, we never know, right? But I'm saying under these conditions where you had shipping containers that were deliberately sitting at sea because they were not permitted to dock because COVID is an excuse for every brain wacky thing that they're doing nowadays. Um, you don't know how long that stuff was there. You don't know what kind of weather it was exposed to. Hi, Shirley. She says if my dates are expired, I send them right back to the store and get a new one. Or that's right. Oh, absolutely. Now I haven't gotten anything that was expired, but I have gotten things that look kind of beat up. I was like, well, dang, where have you been? Where did you come from? So watch that kind of stuff when you go into the store, especially if you're getting things from the dollar store. These big chains like Dollar Store is a big chain. Family Dollar, Dollar Store, Dollar Tree, they are big chains. Okay, just because their stuff, some of their stuff is a lot cheaper than Walmart or Costco or Sam's or whatever all else, doesn't mean they ain't bringing in the dollars. They racking in the money. Okay, it's a big chain. So, and a lot of stuff comes from overseas, particularly China. So, who don't like us very much? Just keep that in mind. The other thing is, I saw something or someone texted me and was telling me about there seems to be a lot of hemlock growing across the United States. Hemlock in places where people had not seen hemlock before. And she was telling me that it was like right up against her property line. I think in the back of her home or whatever. And they don't have, well, they have dogs. I don't know that she was so much concerned about the dogs getting into it, but people have been getting sick. They look almost like baby breaths, flowers, and people have been picking this stuff thinking it was baby breaths. No, it's hemlock, and they get desperately sick and end up in the hospital. And I said to her, I said, "Do you remember a couple years back when everybody were getting these mysterious envelopes in the mail that had these seeds in them?" That were coming from China. And she was like, oh my God. I said, I'm just one people planning them and didn't know what it was, or just said, I'm just gonna, and took and threw the paper packet away or whatever. I don't know. I'm just thinking. Now I got one of those packets. I did not open it. I didn't give it to my county extension office either. I don't know what I did with it. I think I might have thrown it away because number one, I didn't know what it was. Number two, it came from China. So, and China was not in good cahoots with us at the time. So I thought, yeah, I'm not. Nope. Nope. I try to stick to made in America, if you know what I mean. So anyway, just be mindful of that. Hemlock is on the rise around the United States. It is poisonous. It is deadly. It will kill you. And so you don't want to breathe it. You don't want to run over it with your lawnmower. You don't want to, if you can put a shovel under it, dig it up, put it in a trash bag, tie it up, take it to your county extension office, or ask them how to dispose of it so that you don't make yourself sick and make your family sick. Anybody have any questions? You guys are quiet. Why y'all always quiet? Then you write me with these questions. Some of you guys call me, and that's okay too. I don't mind. I don't mind. Now I understand. I've got this Skookum long distance plan. If you're in the United States, I'll call you. If you're in some other country, I'll call you on Skype. But I'm not going to call you from my telephone. If you leave me your phone number, I will call you. Um, if you don't have a plan on your phone, so I don't mind doing that. I've talked to a few of you many times, and it was fun. Thanks for the conversation. Anyway, let me think. Was there something else? Stop moving to Arizona? I do not understand what you're trying to say there, Amber. Um, let's see. So we talked about medicine. We talked about car parts. I talked about my backup for my electric stove, and my refrigerator is plugged into my doohickey, and there now we're testing it. It only took an hour for to charge it up. Now it's solar as well, but it can also be charged by AC outlet. And since hey, we're right here in the house right now, I figure I'll go ahead and charge it up, plug the refrigerator into it, and see if it works okay. The jury's still out on that. I'll let you guys know how it went. It's a Blue Eddy 200 Max, AC 200 Max, and it comes with three 200-watt solar panels. I'm thinking about getting one more solar panel, and we'll see how it does. Who's moving to Mexico? I was thinking about moving to Ecuador. I think it was Ecuador. My husband and I talked about. They only require that you have $400 a month in your bank account. I thought I could live like a queen in Ecuador if that's all they expect. These other countries, yeah, they want you to have several $1 million or several $1,000 before you can go into their country. And here in the United States, well, you don't even have to have $1. They'll let you. You don't have to be able to contribute to society in a positive fashion. You can absolutely be a drain on society, and they want you to come. So that's how much they hate you. Anyway, um, oh, California won't stop moving to Arizona. Yes, there's a lot of people from California and New York um, that are moving to Florida and Arizona and other places like that where it's just they're not being taxed to the nine, just to live there. So and now, but it has caused a housing crisis in Arizona, and Texas is already in crisis because the border is wide open, and this administration doesn't intend to do anything about the safety of the country, which is a violation of their oath to support and defend the nation. Well, you can't defend the nation if the door is wide open and you ain't trying to shut it. So anyway, you you don't have to look far, wide, or long to see who's lying about their oath. Keep that in mind. You got primaries coming up. Uh, keep that in mind. I'm telling you, do your homework. Look these people up that are in your districts and in your areas that are on your uh, city council and your precinct chairman and all that, because there's a whole lot of people that talk about the good they want to do. We got this one guy here, one of our one of our uh, senators hiring, and so someone that used to work for him, or that used to work for him, is running to take his seat. And when you hear the guy talk, it's like he didn't say anything. He didn't say nothing. He didn't say nothing. I've got the guts to do this and I've got the guts to do that. But he didn't say anything about his policies. I've got the guts to take on the Washington establishment. And we've heard all that before, right? So when they start parroting what these other politicians have said who didn't take on anything or do anything, you know not to vote for that fool, right? Anyway, just saying. Do I have a link to my Blue Yeti? A link. I've got it synced to my phone, if that's what you mean, and I can look at it and see. Let me see if I can do it. Oh, I guess my refrigerator is plugged in and humming along because it says it was at 100% when I plugged it in. And let me see if you can see this. Oh, well, now it says 94, but you can't see everything else that's on the screen because it is light. Um, it's working. Yay. So I want to see how long. It says it's at 100 watts. I didn't hear it when it came on. I would have liked to have seen what the draw was on it. In other words, whenever you plug in anything and turn it on, when you first turn it on, there's an initial electrical draw, which is much higher than what it takes to just run the thing. And I would have liked to have seen what that was. Now this is fluctuating between 100 and 102, or 99 and 102 watts um, per hour. I guess I don't know. This is new to me, so I've not done this before, and but there it is. How about that? I don't know how long it'll last. Um, that's why I'm trying it out, because I want to see how many hours does it give me. If we had a power outage, and if I needed to, um, I can set up the solar panels, or my husband can, and we'll just take them out in the backyard and let them recharge, and then bring it back in. That thing's heavy though; it weighs 65 pounds. So I wasn't expecting something that big or that heavy. I don't know what I was thinking, but because they had the description there, and I don't know, I missed it somehow. But anyway, um, let's see. Doesn't take much because to take us. Yeah, right. So Yuma is where they cross the border. Yes, yes. Yeah, there's a crisis there too. Think it's something like, I don't know, 600 people. Just they couldn't catch them. They just ran right in, y'all. Ran right in. So, okay. So the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about was your assets. Now listen to me. We did a video, my husband and I, a couple of years back, when we went to the bank to try to get our money out of the bank. You would have thought we were Bonnie and Clyde. I'm telling you, people treated us terrible. It was terrible. They treated us like we did something wrong. The man threatened to close my account and told me I would get a knock on my door. I don't know who he was talking about, the men in black or whatever, if I took my money out of the bank. He said, I can't stop you, but you will get a visit. I'm like, excuse me? Yeah, it was interesting. I saw a video of a young lady the other day, and she was talking, and I don't know whether she was in Chicago or Philadelphia, wherever she was. She was trying to get some money out of her account, and they would not give her any money. Um, her card was locked down. She didn't have any debt. She didn't owe anybody anything. They would not give her money. And she said something is going on with the banks. And she said, I tried to go to the ATM and my card would not work. So I don't know if something was happening behind the scenes at that particular bank where she was banking at, or it was, I don't know, it was crazy. But my husband and I, we were trying to move our money from our Canadian account to our US account. And the incompetence of these bank people was just staggering. I'm telling you. They told us one thing, and then when we tried to do that one thing, they told us, "Oh, you can't do that." And we like, you literally called us and told us this is how you need to do it. Okay, so then we find out, well, you can't do it like that. Well, you can't write a check. Well, you can't send a wire transfer. Well, you can't. Well. Now wait a minute. So you telling me that our money is stuck in another country because what? Yeah. Anyhow, we finally got all that worked out, and it was a nightmare. Let me just put it to you, like, it was a nightmare. They red flagged our accounts. And we're like, wait a second, you're the reason that we had to do it this way. You're the one that told us to do it this way, and you red flagged our accounts. So then we have to jump through hoops to explain to them where our money came from. Well, we used to own a business there. Well, we used to own a condo there and we sold them. We don't live there anymore. We would like our money where we actually live. And that was a big problem. Now, strangely enough, they didn't have a problem when we were putting it there. They had a problem when we were trying to take it out. So, I'm telling you, watch your assets. What if you can change your money out of the fiat currency that they have printed like crazy and devalued the dollar to where it means absolutely nothing? Do something else with your money. Make it into a tangible asset. What's a tangible asset? Something that's worth something because the dollar isn't worth much of anything. Now, as long as people are taking the dollar at the store, I will give them the dollar at the store, but I'm not keeping all my stuff in dollars. Like I said, I just bought that battery pack. That's a tangible asset. That's something that's usable. It's something that will not lose its value. It's something that will help preserve my food because it'll keep my electricity going on my refrigerator. That's an asset. That's a tangible asset. Put your money in things that will retain its value, is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay. Okay. So I'm tired of talking. Anyway, thank you guys for coming on. My email address, enoughgrace12 at AOL.com, is in the description box. If you want to write me, please do. If you want me to call you, then you need to email me and leave me your telephone number. If you are in the country, I will call you, or we'll make arrangements through email when the best time is for us to talk. If you have some other questions that maybe you did not want to bring up here on the chat, I'll be happy to talk to you and help you if I can. If I can, I'll tell you, I can't help you, girl. I'll just flat tell you. So, anyhow, I will see you guys the next time I come on. Thanks for hanging out. Think about what I said. Make sure you get books that are in line with what it is you need to know and need to learn. In the event the electricity goes out, maybe they're going to do rolling blackouts because of the cost of everything to keep everything running now. They might do rolling blackouts, right? So you're still going to need to live. So you need to get books that deal specifically with what it is you want to know how to do. There was life before modern technology, and you might have to settle into how to do some things the way they did it long before all these modern conveniences came along. So I'm just saying that to you. I've been training myself in this for a few years now. I don't have it all down, but there are things I know I can absolutely do without, or I found another way to have the same thing. And, no big deal, no big adjustment because I've been making adjustments for the last 10 years in my life all the way along. So I would advise you and strongly encourage you to do the same thing as much as possible. Help your family make transitions and all that. What's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is when you need to have these adjustments, you haven't trained yourself for them. That's the worst that can happen. The best that can happen is when you need to have these adjustments, you have trained yourself for it. So it's kind of like water on a duck's back. Okay, whatever, we'll get through this, right? So I'll see you guys the next time I come on. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you then. God bless you and take care.